Hello and Minglaba. Welcome to MI Radio's Myanmar Today. I'm Henry Zin. State Counsellor encourages local supply chain and SMEs amid COVID-19. A report on online shopping and charity during COVID-19. A story coverage on Alin Charity School to be reopened as soon as the government allows. All these reports coming up later on Myanmar Today, but for now, let's take a look at what's happening in local news. The Myanmar Today delegation, led by Commander-in-Chief of Defense Services Senior General Alin, took a special flight of Myanmar Airways International on Monday to visit the Russian Federation at the invitation of its Defense Minister Army General Sergei Kuzugetovich Shoigu to attend the 75th anniversary of Victory Day of Great Patriotic War. On Tuesday morning, Senior General Alin separately met at the Crown Plaza Hotel with editors and reporters from the Arguments and Facts Media, Zvesta TV channel, RTTV network, Red Star Media, and Politics magazine. During the interviews, the senior general explained the role of Damodar in the history of Myanmar, its leading role in national politics, representatives of Damodar in Lutos, national security, the sovereignty of state and participation of Damodar in COVID-19 measures, and progress of cooperation in military technologies between Myanmar and Russia. The senior general and party received Vice President of Irkut Corporation for Marketing and External Relations, Mr. Vladimir Saltov, and officials, and exchanged views on cooperation in technologies, according to the report of Office of the Commander-in-Chief of Defense Services. Union Minister for Investment and Foreign Economic Relations, U Tan-tun, on Tuesday attended the 10th Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Intersessional Ministerial Meeting via video conference. The meeting was chaired by Mr. Tran Thuan An, Vietnam's Minister for Industry and Trade, and co-chaired by Ms. Myung Hee Yu, Korea's Minister for Trade, Industry and Energy. Economic ministers from 10 ASEAN member states and ASEAN FTA partner countries, Australia, China, Japan, Korea, and New Zealand, and the ASEAN Secretary-General participated in the meeting. The ministers reaffirmed their commitments to sign the RCEP agreement in 2020 as instructed by the leaders at the third RCEP summit, which was held in November 2019. The RCEP Trade Negotiation Committee, TNC, chair presented the TNC report to the ministers regarding the signing of RCEP agreement in 2020. The report included the progress of RCEP negotiations resulted from RCEP TNC meetings and the remaining issues seeking for the ministers' guidance. The ministers noted the report and tasked TNC for a way forward to settle down all the remaining issues. Anti-narcotics police destroyed seized precursor chemicals worth nearly 3,379 million kyats at the field near the Asia World Tollgate in Kutkai Town, northern Shan State, on Tuesday. The seized chemicals were destroyed to welcome International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking that falls on 26th of June. The drug destruction ceremony was held in accordance with COVID-19 guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health and Sports. Deputy Administrator Ujo Tuzo made an opening remark, and the district head of the police force explained the purpose of destroying the chemicals. After the event, the attendees observed the precursor chemicals, and some chemicals were buried and some were destroyed with the use of some machineries. Representatives of the government and NCAS EAOs held the fourth negotiation at the National Reconciliation and Peace Center at Shui Li Road in Yangon on Tuesday. Attorney General of the Union, U Tun-tun-u, made an opening remark, saying 3 negotiation meetings and 1 informal meeting where participants discussed the implementation of NCA included in Part 3 of Union Accord, step-by-step implementation beyond 2020 and the basic principles. He added that the 4th edition of Union Peace Conference, 21st Panglong, is scheduled to convene in August this year, finding agreements on the timeline for bilateral negotiations, reduction of participants with appropriate composition in the conference due to COVID-19 pandemic. Bado Sao Sai-ing remarked preparations for Union Peace Conference 21st Century Panglong, UPDJC meeting, and JICM meeting will be discussed through friendly manners. Ula Mongshui, a member of the Peace Commission Advisory Group, said the meeting focused on NCA framework, basic principles of NCA, separation meetings of EAOs, representatives and government officials will be held on Wednesday, and both sides will meet again Thursday afternoon. A total of 129 Myanmar nationals, 92 from the Republic of Korea and 37 from Belgium, Norway, Switzerland, and the United States, were repatriated on Tuesday. Myanmar Airways International's relief flight had carried these Myanmar citizens from Incheon International Airport in South Korea and arrived at the Yangon International Airport at 8 p.m. The Ministry of Labour, Immigration and Population, the Ministry of Health and Sports, and the Yangon Region government provided the returnees proper medical examination and arranged 21-day quarantine for them. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is working in line with the guidelines set by the National Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of Coronavirus Disease and cooperating with relevant ministries and Myanmar embassies abroad to repatriate Myanmar citizens stranded in other countries due to COVID-19. There's been a total of 4,893 Myanmar citizens who have been brought back home. That's all with the local news. Let's take a look at the first report. State Counsellor Alin Charity School hosted a regular video conference on Tuesday with a focus on commerce. The participants highlighted the local supply chain and SMEs development, as well as the State Counsellor mentioned to review necessary encouragement for local commerce. Dora Susin will tell us more.
The global pandemic COVID-19 has disturbed both export and local supply chain of Myanmar's commerce. Because of the restricted border trade, the fresh fruits were queued up at the border gates for a long time and they were wasted. State Counsellor Alin Charity School at the regular video conferencing said that when it is not possible to export, it is important to depend on local supply chain. The video conferencing was held with a focus of commerce together with the participants U Aung Tu, Deputy Minister for Commerce, Dawin Wintin, Managing Director for CityMed Holding Company Limited, and Dr. Sute, SME owner. The pandemic left the negative impact on productivity, hotel operations, and catering services. When the epidemic broke out in Myanmar, there was panic buying by over-frightened population. The mask and related medical products got higher price and even almost faced shortage. According to Essential Supply at the Ministry of Commerce, trying to control the increasing price, as well as the voluntary services sold the essential food items with much cheaper price to help commodity price drop. Being an agro-based country, there were no worries about food insecurity within the country. Additionally, during the first wave outbreak of COVID-19 in Myanmar, the precautionary measures, including restrictions on travel from one place to another within the country and the ban on going out at night, caused the local supply chain difficult in flow. However, when the local supply chain becomes normal after the calm situation of COVID-19's first wave in Myanmar, the demand is decreasing because people's income is reduced and the job opportunities become lesser.
COVID-19 စပြီးတော့ဖြစ်တဲ့အချိန်မှာ panic buying တွေစပြီးတော့တော်တော်လေးဖြစ်ပွားခဲ့
When the COVID-19 confirmed cases were started to be found out in Myanmar, there had been panic buying for about 10 days. Moreover, this was the short period before Tingjan, when people usually bought large amount of food to store during Tingjan period. After Tingjan period, the market condition became stable. But in May and June, there was a downturn in demand. If we compare this period of May and June with that of last year, we could see 20% decrease in sale at our shops. Locally, essential foods and medical products have quite good market condition, but the market of non-essential items such as clothes, jewelries, and other consumer goods are terribly affected. There has been up to 80% of decrease in sale of retail shops selling non-essential goods.
One advantage comes from the COVID-19 outbreak can be said that most of the shoppers are starting to run e-commerce. Online selling and digital marketing became wider in range in Myanmar. Still, SMEs are facing difficulties in investment, securing a marketplace, and embracing with advanced technology.
SME လုပ်ငန်းတွေဟာဒီကုန်စည်ပြပွဲတွေပြိုင်ပွဲတွေမှာဝင်ပြိုင်နေကြ
Since SMEs are financially difficult to do marketing, they mainly participate in expos, business matching, or contests to penetrate to the market. So after the outbreak of COVID-19, we are to implement a platform of digital marketing for SMEs. Moreover, we are performing e-commerce development, including registry and regulations establishment.
In Myanmar, about 90% of the market penetration is by traditional retail shops. And with the modernized lifestyle, the supermarkets, shopping malls, and other modernized shops are also securing a place in the local market. To link the SMEs with retail and wholesale enterprises, including shopping malls, FDA certificate is the crucial necessity. So the state councillor said FDA procedures for SMEs will be reviewed.
FDA ကသတ်မှတ်တဲ့စီမီစည်းကမ်းတွေကသူတို့ရဲ့အခက်အခဲရှိတယ်ဆိုရင်အခက်အခဲဆိုတာနှစ်မျိုးရှိ
We will review the difficulties to applying FDA accreditation for traditional SMEs. There are two types of difficulties. If FDA accreditation is difficult because of unnecessary or complicated or fixed procedures, it will be easy for us to change. But if it is to lower the standard for easy accreditation, it will not be possible. We have to maintain the international FDA standard for local products for long-term economic development. In addition, we will consider providing loans for more convenience of retail shops and SMEs.
The state councillor said that on one side, the government wants to perform the normal commerce chain as fast as possible, but on the other hand, it is necessary to consider about the second wave of COVID-19. That's all for now. This is Dora Susan reporting from MI Radio.
We move on to the next report. The sale of goods and other basic commodities online saw a rise during semi-lockdown, but starting from the month of June, these online platforms also saw a decline, according to the report by some of the business people from this sector. However, for some of these online platforms, it is not just about selling goods online, but it's also about helping the needy families in their difficult times. Willinson reports.
The outbreak of COVID-19 brings the rise of online shopping not only in many parts of the world, but also in Myanmar, as there are restrictions not to go out. The people tend to buy their necessary items from online. Among many online shopping companies, We Love Yangon, one of the companies, has initiated home delivery of groceries to the families who are not able to go out to buy their basic groceries. But for this group, it is not just about selling basic commodities to their customers. It also gives importance to helping the families who cannot afford to buy their basic groceries due to lack of income during semi-lockdown period. For such families, this particular organization is also ready to donate basic commodities such as rice, oil, onion, and other health-related things such as pamphlet on prevention measures and hand sanitizers. Uso Wema, who is the in-charge officer of We Love Yangon Base 4, which is located in Takomyothe, spoke to MI Radio about the current situation of delivery of basic commodity, and he said,
As the shops are back to reopening after almost 2 months of closure, our organization is facing the decline of orders from the customers, which means we are not that busy with delivering the orders. But on the other hand, we are planning to do more of donation program to the needy in this time of difficulty. This is not just about helping the needy, but we are also planning to collaborate with Yangon City Development Committee in municipal works such as sewage disposal and others which are under the control of YCDC as to urban infrastructure development.
It is not just these organizations receiving fewer orders from the customers. Other online shopping platforms are also facing some challenges after 2 months of stay-home period. The organization such as We Love Yangon does not only sell, but it also does charity work to the needy, and according to the report by Uso Wema, there are about 6,000 families who have asked help to this organization, and so far it has helped about more than 3,000 families, and it will continue to do so as the donors are also actively participating in this donating program. Gutemia, one of the volunteers who has been participating in this program for 2 months, also spoke to MR Radio and said,
One of the reasons that makes me happy with working here as a volunteer is working together here with everyone as brother and sister. And they're delivering donated items to the needy families and see them feel so happy. Even though sometimes I felt unsafe about myself at first, as we have contact with the different people in different areas, we protect ourselves well and try to avoid close contact with the customers as much as possible and keep social distancing. The difficulty we have right now is we are facing the shortage of volunteers these days.
Matchisuwe is a volleyball trainer who is training the upcoming volleyball female players under the Ministry of Health and Sports. And she said, since the outbreak of COVID-19, she has not worked till now. Facing other financial issues in the family, she has received a bag of rice, oil, onion and other items from We Love Yangon, and she spoke to MR Radio and said,
We have been facing some issues during this time. We have some girls getting stuck in this sport facility for months, and we have to manage for these girls, and the situation has been quite tough here. Receiving some of basic commodities like this a relief for us in one way. I have a son. We are 3 in total in the family, but the girls who are stuck here are 5 of them. So we have to manage for 8 people. This is why getting this sort of help is really helpful for us.
And now we're going to be joined by Mr. Xu Qingtuo, a senior journalist from China Media Group, to have a little discussion regarding the closure of Xinfadi market and the circumstances in Beijing. So, Mr. Xu, just when Beijing thought it could finally take a breath, a new spike in coronavirus cases have emerged. Xinfadi market was closed as a containment measure. How does this affect the capital's food supply?
Because of the closure of the Xinfadi market, after all, the Xinfadi market provides 80% of the city's need for vegetables, for meat, etc. So it's important to a lot of people living in the city of Beijing. Right after the closure of the market, the city government has acted immediately to increase the supply of vegetables, for example, to the rest of the markets, so to fill in the gap of the need for the local residents. And then at the same time, they also designated several temporary markets to provide with people all kinds of vegetables and also other daily needs at different regions. At the same time, they also has asked the superstores to increase their supply of food, of vegetables, of meat and fruit, etc. So in that sense, I would say in general, the supply is ample. The supply is adequate for the residents in Beijing. And for individuals or individual families, you don't feel much impact of the closure of the market. The impact probably is negligible for a lot of people because, for example, I live in a neighborhood. I usually purchase my daily stuff, for example, the vegetables, the fruit, the meat from a grocery store. There are a couple of them in my neighborhood. You go there to purchase your daily needs, and it's the owners of those grocery store. They usually, went to Xinfadi or went to other big markets to purchase, to stock in all kinds of foods over there. So that's why I say, for the individuals, you don't feel much about the impact. It's almost the same as in the past week or the week before. What you put on your dinner table.
Well, it's good to know there's not much impact on individuals. Now, my next question, could you please give us some updates on the situation in Beijing and measures by the government?
Well, for the situation in Beijing, Well, we are witnessing a daily increase of new infections, sometimes like 20-something, sometimes 35 or 37. So it's less than 40 on daily increase. So the number itself is not big. We're not witnessing an increase of hundreds of cases or thousands of cases every day. No, it's not that situation. Hopefully it will remain that case until it died down. It's not that serious in general, but still, the government of Beijing has responded strongly. For example, it has increased its emergency response level or alert level to level 2, so the second highest level of response to an emergency situation like this outbreak. So under such a situation, you can see, I think at least 27 neighborhoods have been designated as medium risk, and I think one neighborhood has been designated as high risk because it's close to Xinfangdi, which has been closed. So people living in the medium risk or high risk neighborhood will not be allowed to leave the city. This practice obviously is for the sake of prevent and control the situation in case some infections will spread to the rest of the country. In an ideal situation, so the infection will be concentrating in Beijing, will be concentrating in a certain neighborhood. So in that case, you will have a limited number of cases. So the cases will not grow exponentially, will not grow rapidly. So it's controllable. So it will be brought under control very soon. At the same time, I think more than 1,200 flights in and to and out of the city had been cancelled, and also train services have been reduced. And the classes, for primary school, for middle school, for colleges have been suspended, and students are going back to their home and go back to online classes. And of course, swimming pool, gyms have been closed again. If you take a look at the street, for example, if you take a look at the business activities, it's more or less the same. We would say offices are open, the roads are still open, and companies and factories are operating as normal. So hopefully the situation will remain like that for the next couple of weeks.
All right, Mr. Xu, thank you so much for joining us here on Myanmar Today. We have another report coming up on Alin Charity School. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. Alin Charity School, founded by Free Funeral Service Society Yangon, have prepared for the reopening amid COVID-19. Due to the shortage of instructors for the split classrooms, speakers are going to be set up in every classroom. Alin Charity School has been organized with the aim of ensuring the youth in Myanmar who lack the opportunity to learn modern education due to financial difficulties. There are also many people who have completed the training course there and then moved to workplaces and have started their career. Pio 32 and Willinson will tell us more.
Alin Charity School is an educational charity center for youths offering many vocational trainings such as LCCI, language courses, art courses, computer courses, management courses, hospitality courses, and many more. It was founded by Free Funeral Service Society Yangon since 2007, under which more than 1,000 of students are studying various and respected courses. Due to the global pandemic, Alin Charity School has closed all of its courses since April. According to Unemue, the principal of Alin Charity School, the school will be reopened as soon as the government eases its restrictions and allows the schools and courses to reopen. The principal spoke to MR Radio about its preparation for reopening of Alin Charity School amid COVID-19.
ကျောင်းဆိုတဲ့ချင်းသူကဘာလဲလဲဆိုတော့အခန်းတစ်ခန်းကိုသူကလူကြီး20ပဲထားမှာပေါ့နော်တယောက်6ဝေးกว่าထိုင်ခိုင်းရမယ်ပြီးတော့လာရတဲ့ master လာမယ်အခါမှာပါဆရာတို့ဘာလဲဂျယ်ပေါ့လက်စေးဘာသာဒါမှာပေါ့နော်အဲ့လိုရှိတဲ့ခါကျတော့ဆရာတို့က
We are arranging for one classroom to accommodate only 20 students following the healthcare measures by the Ministry of Health and Sports, such as screening body temperature, placing hand wash basins, and wanting to wear face masks and keeping 2 meters apart in line with social distancing's rule for safety and etc. The instructors here are unpaid. They are just volunteering for Education Charity Center. So we're facing the shortage of instructors for the split classroom. Now we are temporarily arranging to set up the speaker in every classroom. Alin Charity School has been organized with the aim of ensuring the youths in Myanmar who don't have the opportunity to learn modern education due to financial difficulties. There are also many people who have completed the training course here and then moved to their workplace and have started their careers.
Free Funeral Service Society Yangon has operations of different voluntary services including charity school, fire service, charity clinic, ambulance service, and more. Ujodu, former film star and founder of FFSS, spoke to MI Radio about the operations of FFSS amid COVID-19.
အခုလိုကိုဗစ်ဖြစ်လာတဲ့အချိန်ကျတော့ကျွန်တော်လူစုလူဝေးကိုအတတ်နိုင်ဆုံးရှောင်ရတယ်။တတ်နိုင်ဆုံးရှောင်တော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ပညာရေးကဏ္ဍကိုကျွန်တော်တို့ခဏနားထားအခုဆို2လကြော်ပြီပေါ့လေ။
Amid COVID-19, we have to avoid as many people as possible, so we have been suspended the education sector for over 2 months. But Duka Kudopik Clinic keep operating for the sake of the patients, especially the O1. The funeral service, ambulance service, and fire service are ongoing. During this time, we are working with volunteers for funeral services, ambulance services, and fire service without off days. We can avoid contacting with the people and keep dealing with them from the various townships, but we are very careful about preventive measures, so no one from our team has been reported to be infected so far.
Dosodin Sasso, who is the CEO of Free Funeral Service Society Yangon, spoke to MI Radio how the organization is currently operational. She said,
ကျမတို့ဟိုပါပေါ့လက်ရှိကကျမတို့ဒီဝန်ထမ်း100နီးပါးရှိတယ်ဒီသူ့ဌာနနဲ့သူပေါ့
Under Free Funeral Service Society Yangon, there are over 100 staff members in respective departments. When COVID-19 happened, we separated the staff and volunteers into 2 groups and let them work 1 week alternatively. We had some difficulties as we needed more volunteers in the free funeral service. During stay-home period, it was quite easy that there was no heavy traffic for funeral service and ambulance service.
And that's all we have for today's reports. And here are the international news on Myanmar Today. The Elections Department in Singapore announced on Tuesday that the country will hold its next general election on July 10th, despite the coronavirus pandemic. Earlier on Tuesday, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong called for an imminent election and said he had advised the city-state's president to dissolve parliament. PM Lee said the vote will be held at the time when the coronavirus outbreak in the country is relatively stable. The government was required to call an election by April next year, but speculation that Lee would opt to call for a vote before then had circulated for a while. Singapore's president, on the advice of the Prime Minister, dissolved parliament on Tuesday. China launched the last satellite of the Beidou Navigation Satellite System, BTS, from Xichang Satellite Launch Center in southwest China's Sichuan province. The satellite, carried by a Lawn Mark 3B carrier rocket, is the 30th BTS-3 satellite and the 55th of the whole Beidou satellite family. The launch will mark the completion of China's Beidou Global Navigation Network. In other news, the World Trade Organization said in a release on Tuesday, global trade is expected to drop around 18.5% year-on-year in the second quarter of 2020 in a coronavirus-driven plunge, which could have been much worse. The Geneva-based body forecast in April that global trade in goods would fall by between 13 and 32% in 2020, numbers that the WTO chief described as ugly before rebounding by 21 to 24% in 2021. The WTO did not set new figures on Tuesday, but said rapid responses by governments meant its pessimistic scenario for this year was unlikely. Chinese State Counsellor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi said on Tuesday cooperation for peace and stability in a post-pandemic era is in line with the interests of the international community. Wang made the remarks while attending a video conference with Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar and Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Discussing opportunities for cooperation amid COVID-19 pandemic has been a key topic for trilateral talks among the three foreign ministers. Wang also exchanged views with Jaishankar and Lavrov on global political, economic, and financial trends following the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as opportunities for cooperation to help them handle the crisis. He called for more efforts to uphold the international system with the United Nations at its core, as well as the international order underpinned by international law, stay committed to multilateralism, and strengthen and improve global governance.
As the major emerging economies, our three countries jointly maintain the international system with the UN as the core and safeguard the global order in accordance with the international law. We should uphold the concept of multilateralism to boost the scientific research cooperation and the global economic recovery. That serves the common interests of all our three nations.
A 7.4 magnitude earthquake hit southern Mexico Tuesday. The quake hit the coast of Oaxaca state and had a depth of 33 kilometers. As of Tuesday afternoon, at least 2 people have been killed. Pemex said the quake caused a fire at its refinery in the Pacific coast city of Salina Cruz. Near the epicenter, 1 worker was injured.
Vamos al parque. Vamos para allá.
Well, that's all we have for now. Thanks for joining me on Myanmar Today. I'm Henry Zin. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you again. Goodbye.